men will not cry. I don't know if we can relate to that when there's a problem. It's often touted that men should not cry, and if a man wants to cry, you find, say, they tell him that he should behave like a man. And what they're saying is that he should not cry, So, and I'm not too sure whether this is good, for the man, when they say he should not cry, that Yoruba will say, "Kó ṣe ọkàn ọkùnrin," and medical people have given us reasons why it is good, for us to cry, that we need to cry, and no one should tell anyone not to cry. That it's good for us to cry. But you find that all these are things that have ensued from the stereotype that we have, in the society, that we're not, there are certain things that we're not expected to do. So apart from stereotype, we also have what I will call sexual stereotypes. That apart from, we have sexual stereotypes, and you might ask, what does that mean? It is sexual stereotypes has to do with the promotion. There is a promotion of a fixed, there's a promotion of a fixed general idea or image. There is a promotion of a fixed general idea or image, of how men and women should behave. There is a general idea or image. We're often told, there is a way you need to behave. There are certain things that you cannot do. When you go to a party as a woman, you shouldn't cross your leg. You should sit straight. You go to a party and it says that you should sit straight, at the party. So these are, these are issues, that most times, calls for these are issues that, because when there is a stereotype, when there are stereotypes, he does affect those who cannot measure up to that stereotype. It does affect them. So those who cannot measure up to that stereotype, just will find themselves to be on the wrong side. And it does affect them. So the other stereotype, we also have sex role stereotypes, which is a generalized view or preconception about attributes or characteristics or the roles that ought to be possessed by or performed by women or men. In this one, because I don't know how many things that we do know, but I'm aware of the fact that Nigeria, there is a preconceived view, about Nigerian men, and you find most women saying that when they talk about Nigerian men, so you just start wondering, what does this mean? You find most foreign women saying that they want to marry Nigerian men. So because there is a preconceived perception, of Nigerian men, is a preconceived, whether it is true or not, we don't know. We don't know about that, but we just know that this notion is also being it's also being spoken most times, and it's also being it's the notion is always spoken so many times, and there's so many allusion, to it, and you just find yourself wondering, what is this all about? So you find that, so when we're talking about stereotypes, we'll find that it is ingrained in our culture. It is ingrained in the values in our society. You find that it is ingrained, in the values in our society. So you just start wondering why, why this is so. It's just ingrained in our society. But what can be done? Well, I do not have an answer to what can be done, because it is ingrained within culture. It is ingrained within culture, and also ingrained within normative values of the society. So the question is, how does law promote these stereotypes? I have reeled out certain laws within Nigeria, that promotes stereotypes. Even international instruments promote stereotypes. When you look at the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, you find Articles 2, Paragraph 7, Articles 2, Paragraph F, and Article 2, Paragraph 5A, telling that all these stereotypes must be removed. And you find that even the Maputo Protocol, also talks about removal of stereotypes. But I don't know how these stereotypes can be removed because they are ingrained in us. And it will take education, it will take advocacy, and some other actions for stereotypes to be removed within our society. It's 5 minutes after 1. I'm going to take 1 or 2 questions in the remaining 10 minutes that we have. But I promise that this part of I'm going to send us materials to help us understand better how the law, does help in embedding stereotypes. So I'm going to send us some materials. Do we have questions? I could still take questions for the next 9 minutes before I exit the class. So if you have any questions, we can ask me now so that we can sort that before I leave.
Okay, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma, my question is that what is the difference between sex stereotype and sexual stereotype?
Sex stereotype has to do with physical characteristics, that because you're a woman, you're supposed to do this. That a woman is supposed to walk this way. I don't know how many of you went to girls' school. I went to a girls' school where we're taught how to carry ourselves. That is sex stereotype. Sexual stereotypes, we relate to performance, sexual performance. And that's why I talked about there is a general or a global outlook on sexual performance of Nigerian men. That's sexual stereotype. Have I answered the question?
Yes, ma. Yes, ma. You have. Thank you.
Okay. I can see there's another person raising hand. Go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, good afternoon, ma'am. You
Good
mentioned that stereotypes in relation to gender are seen in 4 ways, but
Yes.
it's only 3 that is my sex stereotype, sexual stereotype,
Okay,
and
there is what we
stereotype.
called compounded stereotype. What we call compounded stereotype. And this has to do with preconception about groups or idea that you have about groups. For example, you say, oh, is he not a thief man? So there's a preconception, a preconception about thief people. There's a view about, is it not an Igala man? Is it not a Yoruba man? That's how they be.
I'll just wait. Let's go together. Let me just keep this.
Those are compounded views that has to do with stereotypes. Please, Chiamaka, can you mute yourself if you're not talking to the class? Chiaka, Chioma, Christabel, mute yourself. Chiaka, Christabel, mute yourself. So does anybody else have questions? I have 2 more minutes to leave the class.
Ma, good afternoon.
Good morning, ma. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon, Ridwan.
Yes, ma. You said you were mentioning stereotypes of men in terms of performance earlier. So I didn't really understand that part. Performance in what aspect?
We're talking about sexual stereotypes.
Yes, ma.
Do you understand now?
Yes, ma.
Okay. Mujidat, go ahead with your question. Mujidat.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. So my question is regarding stereotype. Although not all stereotypes could be justified, but I would like to ask a question. To what extent could we kind of justify certain stereotype in the law on the basis of necessity? So I'm talking about certain certain laws that arose for the need to like maybe to protect certain women from certain things, let's say like rape or
I don't know whether he was joking or what.
Yes,
sorry.
I agree with you. Not all stereotypes are negative. Some stereotypes could be positive, and that's what you're saying. But when we are looking at stereotypes, most times we're looking at those stereotypes from the negative perspective. That's what we're looking at, the stereotypes from negative perspective. That's what we're looking at it. You know, I agree with you that there is a positive stereotype, but we are most times looking at it from a negative stereotype. Do you
Yeah,
understand?
yes, sure. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So any other question? I have 4 more minutes. Any other
Yes,
question?
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you, ma. Ma, you said that stereotypes can either be descriptive or prescriptive. Ma, can you throw more light on what you meant by prescriptive?
That is, we said this is the way they are. That's what we say. We say this is the way those people are. So we are prescribing them. We say I've been listening to a particular not podcast, Anthony Joshua, when he was called upon to speak at a certain place concerning Commonwealth, and he said that he's from the Yoruba tribe, and they have said that they're the largest, and then he now added, and the loudest. You know, that thing that he said is prescriptive, you know, that the Yoruba people are the largest ethnic group in Africa and the loudest. Those are prescriptive. Do you understand?
Yes, ma. So, ma, can we say that descriptive is like it has to do with more of their physical features
Yes,
and
more of their
attributes?
features. That's what I
Why?
make mention of that. That when you want to describe a Yoruba woman, you say, oh, they're always having big backsides, you know. So that's a physical description of Yoruba people, you know.
Okay, ma, thank you, ma. So, ma, can we say that I don't want to clarify it in my head. Can we say that descriptive is like their physical features and characteristics, while prescriptive is how people see them, what people see and say about them, ma?
Beautiful. You
Okay,
got it.
thank you, ma.
Okay.
Thank you, ma.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I
Yeah,
have
ma,
2 more minutes, so
when you
I
were
have 2 more
mentioning
minutes to answer you. Yes.
yes, ma, when you were mentioning like maybe what the laws stereotype women in terms of crossing of legs.
Mm.
So I want to know your own like perspective. What's your perspective or take on that? Is it like a bad thing or like
No, it's
a
not a bad thing, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's what we are, that's what we are being told. Know that you're a woman, you don't cross your leg, you should, when you sit, you should sit straight, you know, and all these they are societal values, you know, that says this is the way a woman should behave. That's it. You know, it's telling us, and if you don't behave that way, you know, then you are not, you won't be considered as a woman. Do you understand?
Okay, ma. Ma,
So,
so what are like should I say feminist or other female like perspective in trying to like correct this, I don't know, should I say notion or so? Because
even voice,
yes,
we are expected to have feminine voices, We are
yes,
not, a woman is also not expected to shout, there's so many things that a woman is not expected to do. So I will try and send materials to you so that you can understand better what we're talking about. My time is up, so I have to go.
okay, ma. Thank you, ma.
Okay. Okay.